Morning, Kentucky. It's Bob in his backyard. It's a beautiful sunny day, windy as usual, and we've had 80s the last couple days. Frosted last night, a good frost. You got to be ready for everything, anything in Kentucky. Uh, I didn't get to mention it this early this spring, or I guess it would still be winter. Um, we tapped our maple trees and did very well this year. We got 40 gallons of sap, which turns out to be 1 gallon of maple syrup. But the special thing about it here in Kentucky is that it all has to be timed. Um, Time is the essence. If you don't get it in that little envelope when you're able to tap the trees, you don't get it. So uh, we end up tapping for a week and a half, 2 weeks, with a week in between. Trees have to be the nights have to be under 32 and the days have to be above 32. That causes pressure in the tree and bring the sap up. That's the only way. Uh, you can tap it any other time of the year, nothing's going to come out. So, reason I'm telling you this is that you have to pay attention to time. Um, if you're ready to plant your garden, and you're ready to put, I know Lowe's has their tomatoes out, and all the rest of the places already got their tomatoes, peppers, and whatever. It's not time. Just because they got them out on their shelf, they're ahead of the game. So, first thing you have to do is either Google it or ask Siri, what is my last projected frost date in whatever town you live in? She'll come back and say, like Bardstown, our last projected date is May the 14th. Here, it's usually Derby Day. Everybody goes for planning as soon as Derby Day hits. But you have to wait until then because, like, you get 80s and you go, oh boy, it's ready to plant. Well, certain things just don't work. And tomatoes, peppers, the hot loving plants, the ground's too cold for that. So they'll just sit and do nothing anyway. So, um, so you need to find your last frost date. So if and it's nice to know what zone you're in. Now we're in 7B. They keep moving it around with climate change, um, because it's getting colder here or hotter here or whatever the reason is. Um, you just have to find out your zone because if you want to go out, and this is the time to go buy seeds if you haven't already. But uh, one note: only plant things you like. Don't just plant. I've seen people with a cart with 50 different seed packets. If you're starting out, especially if you're starting out and you're starting with a small garden, um, grow what you like. If you love radishes, this is the time. Radishes you can already plant radishes. Um, but most people, peppers, tomatoes, squash, that kind of stuff. So you have to, when you go to pick seeds, look on the back of the pack. And it's amazing the information that nobody ever reads. On the back of the pack, this is carrots, which we planted. We've got a couple carrots already planted and new ones put in. Uh, Grows in full sun. If you're in the shade, um, carrots might not be the thing unless you have a sunny spot. 60 to 70 days to harvest. So you can take your projected frost date and then plant carrots and go out 70 days on the calendar, and that's when you should get your carrots. Um, It tells you what depth to plant them, 1/2 inch. We don't thin anything, so we hate pulling little seedlings up. So we try to spread them out as well as we can. And then it usually has a United States map on it. It tells you the zones of when you should plant this carrot. And there's different carrots, there's different, there's a million different vegetables. So, go to the store and okay, going to be one of them years, going to blow my stand over every time. I forgot what I was even saying. This is where you have to grow. You have to start doing your homework. Like I said in the last video, this is not one of them things, well, I got an empty weekend or I got a half of a Saturday, I'm going to plant my whole garden. Well, if you want your garden to grow a lot of vegetables, you have to pay attention. This is the time that you have to grow as your garden is going. So you need to do your homework. You need to pay attention to seed packs. Watch some videos. There's lots of them besides mine, but I appreciate it. Every vegetable takes different conditions. So like onions are already up. Garlic's already up. But you have to plant your garlic, well, preferably in the fall, because it'll go through the winter and come back up, and then you have garlic in the early summer. We have onions scattered all over. I'll show you. You plant them on St. Patrick's Day. You got potatoes and onions and your brassicas, which are broccoli, cauliflower, kale. So, they should already be in. And I'll show you that. Ours is doing pretty well. Peas is another thing. Snow peas, now not regular peas and not regular beans. They can't go in until after the frost date. But snow peas take it. They take the cold, they take the frost. We were worried last night. We got on our phone, and it's like, how low a temperature can strawberries take? They're blooming, and they have little strawberries on them already. If it's going to kill them all, we're going to cover it. And we had a freeze last weekend, which it went down to 18, something ridiculous like that. And, our garden looked like a yard sale. I mean, there was frost cloths and everything else all over the place, trying to cover every little tender vegetable, because, they may take a frost, but they don't take a freeze. You have to pay attention. And there's nothing more upsetting than putting all your vegetables in and a frost come and wipe them all out. Then you got to do it all over again, or you get frustrated and don't do it at all. So, take this slow, take it one vegetable at a time, and so that's pretty well seed packets. That's seeds. If you want to plant corn, or you want to plant, we plant popcorn, which is a lot of fun, and but most of all, you're probably going to go to a greenhouse. Excuse me. You're going to go to a greenhouse and buy your plants. Buy your tomatoes, and do some variety. Don't get all the same kind. I worked for people that had all the same 25 plants, all the same kind. Well, they didn't like it, so they gave them to me, which is good for me. But there's a million varieties. You can make a million things out of tomatoes, and so when you go there, pick out what your favorite is. If you like hot peppers, there's a million of them. We do probably 6 or 8 different kinds. We do green peppers. We do tomatoes. We do Romas. We do big boys, and all them Abe Lincolns, and there's a million of them. And so um, be particular what you take. Don't get the biggest one. You know, and if you see a rack and there's one that's about this tall and it has blossoms on it, don't pick that one. It's already been in the pot too long that it's already trying to force it, so it's being really forced to bloom, and it's going to take a long time if it ever. So, you know, pick a nice little small one. I mean, we plant ours when they're, you know, 3 inches tall, and you know, they adapt well to the garden, and then they just go, and then you just can't stop them. So figure out what you want. Um, you know, you can still get broccoli, cauliflower. We're still pushing it. Um, but just to give you a hint, um, you know, we started our broccoli and cauliflower in the big box in the back. Immediately, we started them in the greenhouse, planted them, which was in my last video. We bought insect cloth, covered it up, and it's been covered up ever since. Well, yesterday my wife said something's eating the cabbage. Take the cover off, little green caterpillars already. How they got in there, and it's a white butterfly. You know, you see them little white butterflies? They're the ones that are going to get your cabbage, broccoli, or any of them. So keep an eye out for them. But I can't imagine how anything got in there, but it did. So I mean, that's why I say you gotta pay attention all the time. Like, you know, this is not a science. Well, it is, but it doesn't have to be. But if you want to grow the most vegetables with the most uh, nutrients and taste, um, you know, you gotta do it right. And so hopefully, you know, I'm not sure if we're ready for that yet, but hopefully you still got a couple weeks and for you to get your plants and get your seeds and get your box ready, get everything ready to go, and just wait for that last frost. And you know, unpredictable, like anything else. It's unpredictable, but you know, be ready, get them planted, and then we'll talk about where we're at and you know what we've got going in the greenhouse. My wife has done a beautiful job in there. It's kind of like laundry, you know. All you do is just, you know, put one red thing in that laundry and it turns everything pink. I don't want you to do laundry anymore. So it's kind of the greenhouse, you know. I went in, I planted things a little too early. They didn't come up. She booted me out. So she's got flowers and I mean things she's never grown before coming up. So we're real happy about that. But she won't get in the video. I asked her yesterday, you know, can you be in the video? Nope. So so from there we're gonna walk around and see what's going on. Everything's not perfect because it's still spring. Some things are still covered. Um, like in the other video, you know, the wind's always blowing here. So you put a little seedling out and it'll blow it over or beat it to death. So we still got things covered, but we can, and I can show you a couple of new structures I got. I built one yesterday and got our vertical tomato cage, whatever you call it, trellis, ready to go. So from there, we'll take a walk around and see you in a bit. Later. Here's Bob. He's back. And just want to show you how we're doing here, how our garden's looking. Um, that's the grape. Doesn't look real good right now, but the onion is doing great in the bottom. I just built this box yesterday, so that's all you have to do. And it has a peony, which we're trying to save it from getting lawn mowed. So it's about ready to go. Um, these are snow peas, homemade TP. All it takes, 4 sticks and a whole lot of other sticks and some string. This is one we have covered. Um, this is our cabbage, which has a hole in it already, so we need to check it out. But we've been covering it up, trying to keep it going. Now, if you plant onions, you can either plant onions in you get them in a little, whole bunch of little skinny onions in a bunch, or you get a bulb. You can buy a bag of bulbs, usually red, yellow, and white, and that's what these are. These are bulbs. So all you do is just stick a little hole in the ground and stick them in there, and but you can see the wind's kind of taking its toll on them. These are potatoes. These were last year's potatoes that we had left over, and they started crawling out of the cabinet. So we planted them. They're doing better than the ones we bought at the store. So I don't know. This creation here, this was carrots. So you know, carrots are tough to get to germinate, and they just dry out too fast, and the seeds are so little. You do this trick if you're doing a square foot garden. All you need is a foot square, or if you want to make long rows, you just need to put a board on there, water it, put the board back. That keeps the moisture in, keeps it dark, and then all of a sudden, you know, you'll flip the board up and be a bunch of little green seeds germinating, and then you take the board off, and then you're ready to go. Here's our strawberries. We left around the edge so they can drape over, and hopefully had some multi-sown onions there, garlic over there. I don't know if you can see, these are all snow peas and onions, and a columbine. Beautiful flower. You know, one thing when you're planting, you got to think you're gonna have to have bees, so you gotta have pollinators in there. So you gotta have flowers in with your gardens. Don't just make it look like a farmer field. Just planting rows. You know, dot some flowers in there, and it'll really help your harvest and help your plants. Now these are walking onions. Uh, one of my old videos has them. They grow up, and then they bend over when they get too heavy because they put a bulb on the end. It hits the ground and it grows, and then it does the same thing, and that's what they call them, walking onions. These are my garlic we planted last year, and in the fall, and they're doing good. A lot of our garden is nothing in it yet. These are strawberries in a grow bag and potato in a grow bag. They're looking nice, but we had them in the back. Deer started eating them, so we put them in that little box. This is when you know how many potatoes you missed last year in your harvest. One there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, one here, one here. So it's going to be a mixed bag of whatever in that one. Okay, this is my vertical trellis. The strings will come down. If you can look at one of my old videos, strings come down to each plant, and then as the plant grows up, you wind the plant around the string, and they should grow up and across this trellis at the top. We'll see how we do on that one. This is our potato bed, which the ones that we didn't put potatoes in are almost catching up with the ones we did. This is wildflowers, so iris ready to bloom, and this is our other new bed. We decided to do it a square foot garden also, and we have radishes and beets and golden beets and regular beets and lettuce, some onions, some carrots, and a few other things. So that's such a fun way to do it. If you've never done that, it's just fun. Now this is the one I showed you in the beginning. So I'll take at least a little of the cover off so we can let all the caterpillars in. Cabbage, kohlrabi. These are all the brassicas. Looking real good. And a box. This is the one that had the logs and stuff in it. And then we filled it up with compost at the top, planted it. And we're hoping this cover works better than it has so far. So yeah, we're real happy with that so far. Our apple trees actually saw a blossom. Been a tough spring for them. You know, our peaches and pears and everything were blooming, and then the cold hit. Blackberries and raspberries, and except for the, should have took the ladder down, but I still got to run strings on it. This is my new tomato trellis, all made from recycled everything, and I'm gonna run strings from, where's my hand at? Strings from there to the ground, and then from there to the ground, and then two on the other end, and we'll plant a tomato in each one and let them grow up the strings. So we love vertical, and we haven't even got our cattle fence arches in yet. We can't figure out where we want them, so a noisy dog over there. And then our little kids garden is doing real well. Got radishes. We should have radishes pretty soon. Lettuce, radishes, bush snow peas, and look like more radishes to me, but could be bok choy. I know. And so we our greenhouse coming around. This is their new strawberry bed, and you can see it looking great. Strawberries are bursting out of there, so we'll see how that works. Our cherry trees are all in bloom, and our blueberries and our gooseberry and our peach and our pear had a million blossoms on them, but 80-mile-an-hour winds didn't do it much good. But all right, so this is our giant blueberry. I think we're gonna get some blueberries this year. These are potatoes we started like rurally in a grow bag, and they were sprouting, and it was like, well, let's just throw them in a grow bag. And then this one's a little behind. So this is my wife's. These are extra tomatoes. She always gives me heck for planting too many of everything, so we end up with 75 tomato plants. So, and these are all flowers: portulaca, stock, and coreopus, and all kinds of stuff. So marigolds, and then Swiss chard. They're just coming up. These are peppers and tomatoes. Basil. It's looking really good. I'm hoping I'm putting this the right place. Then we got nasturtiums in the back and more tomatoes. And then there's our tomatoes. And sweet potato in a bag. Too early for them. They love the heat. They hate the cold. And these are all petunias she grew, which we never had any luck with that. So, um, yeah, she's taken this by the horns and done really well. She's making some baskets, filling some pots. So hats off to her. She's doing well. I think I'll keep her. And so everything else is, everything else is looking good. Everything's starting to, our iris are all ready to bloom. I'm sure you'll see them and in future videos. And this is her little wildflower trot. And so, if you want to start seeds, get right to it. But look on the pack. A lot of plants are just as well if you just put them in the ground at this point. And then next year plan on, getting a greenhouse or starting in the windowsill, which is really tough because you just don't get enough sun for that. But we'll work through it and so get things started. Here in another week, we'll see what's coming up, and hopefully your garden or your box or bag or whatever you got it in is starting to show some green coming out of it, and so no fertilizer other than fish emulsion, no insecticide, no nothing. So this is how you do organic. So we'll say we'll talk to you soon. Say later. Later.